few weeks ago, I was worried I was ill. And not in the hip-hop way. In my Jewish way. So I went to the drugstore, and I bought a thermometer. And I read the instructions on the box. And they said this can be used as either an oral or anal thermometer. And then insert the thermometer until you get a reading. Those should not be the instructions. Right? Should be step 1. Decide. If this is an oral or anal thermometer. Step number 2. Label it. There needs to be a warning on that box. Failure to label could destroy trust in your relationship. Some of us need that. I don't know if you can tell from looking at me, but I have just completed my transition to being a boring adult. It all started a few years ago when I called in my first noise complaint to the police. And I think my cholesterol shot up. Started thinking a lot about insurance. But I know I'm there now. I was walking down the street and I saw a music poster for a festival, and I did not recognize any of the bands on it at all. It's like a random word generator to me. If a young person asks me my taste in music now, I just say bottom 40. I keep on thinking that Dua Lipa's a language app. I just became a boring married guy so quickly, it seems. I've been married now for 2.5 years. I'm very happy to be married by choice. And you can tell I'm married because I have the ring, right? I have the ring on my finger. I love wearing the ring. Because now, when I see beautiful women ignoring me, I'm like, it's because of the ring. That's why this thing that used to always happen continues to happen. It's the best explanation. I kind of feel like I'm in Lord of the Rings, but I'm also invisible when I take it off, so extra powerful. Been married for 2.5 years. We've been together for over 7. And the longer I've been with my wife, the more she describes me like I'm going backwards on the evolutionary tree. When we first met, she referred to me as a handsome man. But now, she talks about me like I just came out of a swamp. I overheard her on the phone, and she said, I don't think he knows how to breathe right. And why is he always wet? And then when I was drying myself off, I realized, like, partnering up with a straight man, that's the original buying into cryptocurrency. Because women first meet us, they're very excited, like, oh my God, this guy is gonna be the next big thing. I gotta get in before he takes off. Then a couple years later, you're like, I don't think he's worth anything. I think I got scammed. I for sure got scammed. I meant this to be a quick pump and dump, and I held on for too long. Now I have nothing. We got together with other friends who are couples, and it always turns into a grade 8 dance. Like, all the guys go to one side of the room, all the women to the other. And it always feels like all our wives and girlfriends are just studying us, like, look at all the trash we collected. We're on the other side of the room, just like, pretty good. We tricked them all. This is great. Gotta think of new romantic date ideas to keep the passion alive. Because our monthly budget meetings just aren't as frisky as they used to be. Like, we used to be a spreadsheet to bedsheet type couple, but not anymore. So gotta think of new romantic date ideas. Like this summer I took her for a picnic. Or as I call it, micro camping. If you've never been camping before and you want to know if you'll like it, go for a picnic and then ask yourself, what if we made this way more inconvenient? Threw in a chance of bears. The best idea I have so far is horseback riding, because that's a pretty majestic date idea, I think. But I have to say, that's a term I have an issue with. I think that horseback riding is quite overly descriptive for that activity. Because why do we have the word back in there? Like, you've all seen a horse before. Everyone picture a horse right now. Where else are you going to ride it? What other option is there? You're grabbing the tail and doing a little land ski? I guarantee you anyone who's ever tried to horse front ride has died. Cause of death, horse. What do you want to do this weekend? Oh, let's go horseback riding. Great, how are we gonna get there? It's pretty far away. I guess we'll have to car inside drive. You know, in England, where they know a thing or two about the English language, they call it horse riding. And if someone came to you and they said, hey, you know, last weekend I went horse riding, you wouldn't be like, how? Can you be more specific? How were you arranged on this beast? Were you on top, or was it a belly-to-belly missionary type of thing? I need a visual. My wife and I have different communication styles. I think that's a common thing in relationships. I hope that's normal. Like, my communication style, mansplaining. And I know that's bad. I know it's a flaw that I have, okay? I have a problem with mansplaining. I'm doing it right now. For money. That came from you. And I think we can acknowledge that mansplaining is a bad thing, but also recognize that it is the least worst of the man crimes. Because you have manslaughter, manspreading, management consulting, then mansplaining. My wife has a different communication style. Hers is devastating insult. She believes the best way to educate is to denigrate. Like, last week she came to me and she was like, you know, Jacob, I think that cleaning is an important part of self-esteem. And I think that you could use more self-esteem. You're just telling me to clean in the meanest way possible? One thing I never expected about being this far into a relationship is that I now really appreciate spiders. Because my wife hates spiders. She wants them all executed immediately. And I don't know if you can tell from my physique, very good at killing spiders. Much superior weight class. I'm like undefeated against arachnids. Like, they're so scared of me, they'll only bite me in my sleep. So when a spider shows up, that's a problem I can solve 100% of the time. What a batting average. You gotta believe I'm not putting up those kinds of numbers for more nuanced emotional issues. So now when she brings up anything going wrong in our relationship that involves like feelings, I try to turn that into a spider threat. She'll be like, Jacob, we need to talk. I feel like you listen to me, but you don't really hear what I say to you. And then I'm like, there's a giant spider right behind you. Toilet paper onto the wall, into the garbage. Does she ever open that garbage to see if the spider was real? No, of course not. It's gross. But what have I done there? I've demonstrated value. And what do we call that? We call that a good negotiating position. Let's have this conversation. I'm ready to hear you now that we're safe. See, women are very smart. They're smarter than us. But you don't realize spiders don't actually know how to get into our homes. They're brought in by insecure men trying to avoid difficult conversations. We buy them off the street. I have a guy I go to. A spider man, if you will. I'm finally at a point now where I feel like I know a few things about relationships. Still not a lot. You know, but a few things. Like, I know it's very important with your partner to have shared goals and ambitions. For example, my wife and I, we've gotten really into making our own soup. And so now our business fantasy is to one day open our own soup restaurant called The Brothel. And people will probably come for a very different reason, but they'll stay for the soup. It'll be called The Brothel, and our tagline will be, "Get something warm inside of you." I've also learned how to answer the pop quizzes my wife launches at me out of nowhere, because that's a big part of being with a human woman. There's a lot of surprise skill testing questions. And I don't know if the men in here know this, but the more questions you're being asked, the worse you are doing. Women don't inquire when they're content. I used to be very bad at answering these questions. A couple years ago, she came to me out of the blue and she said, "Hey, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much do you love me?" And then right away I was like, 10. Like a moron. Because she said, that's not a good answer to that question. She said the minimum good answer, 11. Because you can't let logic limit your love. And I realized answering literally, that's the trap. But now I know this, and my mind is quick and agile. So we were going for a walk in our neighborhood, and across the street was what we both knew was another very attractive lady. And all of a sudden, my wife goes, "Hey, do you see her over there? Do you think that she's hot?" And then I looked, and I said, "That's a woman?" Never been asked that again. That's an A+ answer. That's an 11 out of 10 answer. That's how it's done. If she asks me my celebrity crush, I just say a Muppet. It's safer. Also true. Gonzo. When you get married, you reflect on your romantic history. And I have learned from social media, this is completely true, I have learned that 3 of the women from my past have now come out as lesbians. And the first time a woman from your past comes out as a lesbian, you're like, fantastic. Of course, everyone should live their truth. The second time a woman from your past comes out as a lesbian, you're like, interesting coincidence. The third time, you take a long, hard look at yourself in the mirror, and you're like, I think I need to always have facial hair. Or these lesbians are keep using me as the on-ramp for dating women. Like, what is it about me where lesbians see me and they're like, yeah, that's a low-dosage man I can use to kind of wean myself off of this whole thing. I don't want to quit men cold turkey, so I'll microdose that guy and taper off into ladies. So to get married, we had a wedding, obviously. And I had the kind of wedding, I want to brag, I had the kind of wedding every small boy dreams of. The most cost-effective possible. We kept it real small. Originally, we were going to do just our immediate family, but then we thought about it and we're like, we need some friends there as buffer. Because all of our parents are separated. Which is like saying, who should we have at our wedding? How about the Crips and the Bloods? We got the FBI to cater? Oh, it'd be a great time. We send out very simple invitations. I resent the way people send out invitations to weddings now because always you'll have these RSVP options and they're predetermined. And it's like you're voting like in a 2-party system, right? Like one box will say accept with pleasure and the second box will say decline with regret. Those are not enough options. It should be accept with pleasure, decline with regret, decline with pleasure, accept with regret. Yeah. Then ignore with ambiguity. Like, it's great that you're getting married. Don't be deluded that any of us are stoked to go. Like, when I get a save the date in the mail, that's not a good day for me. It's so arrogant. We call it a save the date. You're not saving anything. You're murdering a weekend. Call this what it is. Your wedding is a funeral for my time. We got married here at City Hall because we decided we wanted to have just sort of like a neutral, secular wedding because we actually come from two different religious backgrounds. My wife grew up Protestant, whereas I was raised correctly. Just different perspectives on, existence. So we got married actually in the city council chamber here in Vancouver because we just felt like the place where the city council meets is such a poignant symbol of great decision making. Wanted to be part of that. I grew up Jewish, and my wife didn't really grow up around Jews, and so it's fun because sometimes I get to teach her things about Judaism. Like I had to make a will. I live a dangerous life. I fight a lot of spiders. And so when you make a will, you have to say what happens to your remains. Are you buried or cremated? So I had to explain to her, because I'm Jewish, I absolutely need to be pickled. That's our way. If you ever meet old Jewish men, they eat a lot of pickled herring. It's because they're preparing themselves. We decided to have a secular wedding, but she asked me, she's like, what is a Jewish wedding like? And I was like, it's pretty similar to a Christian wedding, but the part where they say, if anyone has any objections, now is your time to speak. We don't do that. Too risky. I don't know if you've ever been around Jews, you don't really open the floor to comments, because it's going to be 40 years. I mean, we're not religious anymore, but we also come from different countries originally. My wife actually immigrated here to Canada from South Africa. And you can't tell, she doesn't really have an accent, but she told me that on our first date. And so then I went home and I was like, I gotta learn some stuff about South Africa. So I went to Siri and I was like, hey Siri, tell me a fact about South Africa. Then Siri said, did you know that South Africa is the southernmost country in Africa? In case you're looking for an obscure fact about South Africa to impress your friends with, right? Thank God we have AI to crack this geographical enigma. You can't really tell that she's from there because she doesn't have an accent. Sometimes she will use different words, like she'll call the trunk of the car the boot, or she'll call the trash the bin, or she'll call me dumb. It's a different culture. One thing they do call differently there is that they don't call traffic lights, they call them robots.
Oh.
Yeah. Only in South Africa. And I didn't know this, and I found out when I was driving my wife and her sister, and all of a sudden they yelled at me, turn left to the next robot. I was like, what just happened? Like, I feel like I missed something. Like, people in South Africa must have a very different idea of what's going on when they read about robots trying to steal our jobs. Like, wow, these traffic lights have moves. Because she's from there, her first language isn't English. It is a language called Afrikaans, which comes from Dutch. Because a couple hundred years ago, the Dutch colonized South Africa, and now we have diamond engagement rings and Elon Musk. That's a quick history lesson. And so her and her whole family, they speak Afrikaans. So I thought for our wedding ceremony, wouldn't it be nice without them knowing if I said something in Afrikaans? And so I studied really hard. I spent a lot of time on Dua Lipa. And then just before the climax of the ceremony, I turned to everyone and I said, Verras, ek het die hele tyd Afrikaans gepraat en alles verstaan, but jy na jou moeder gesê. And what that means is, surprise. I have spoken Afrikaans this whole time, and I've understood everything you've said to your mother. It was a beautiful ceremony. She's introduced me to a lot of new things in life, which I really appreciate. Like, because of her, for the first time ever, I have a dog. Never thought I was going to do that. She convinced me to get the dog. We had a discussion for a while, a bit of a miscommunication. She kept on saying, oh, let's get a dog. It'll bring so much joy into our lives. And what I heard was, let's make every vacation $1,000 more expensive. It turns out we were both right. We had different experiences with pets growing up, because she grew up in a house that always had 2 dogs, whereas I only had fish as pets, which is opposite ends of the pet spectrum, I think. Fish and dogs. Because, you're a kid, you grow up with dogs, you learn about responsibility, having a relationship with an animal. When you're a kid who grows up with only fish, all you learn about is how sensitive life is to pH balance. A fish is a pet that's always in the ICU. You're always just checking levels. Yeah. Maybe one more day. You can't take a fish to the vet. The vet's like, the best I can do is a nice ceviche. Our dog is a very special dog. He is actually an emotional support dog. He is a dog, and he requires a lot of emotional support. I want to get an emotional support animal vest for me, so people will know what I do for him, because I should get on airplanes for free. I gave him a Jewish name. His name is Mendel. And then, he became Jewish. He has a lot of food allergies. He's really loud. And his favorite thing to do is to steal the remote to our TV. So I'm so afraid an anti-Semite will find out about this and be like, he's trying to control the media. My dog is actually a rescue. Is a lie I tell people when he behaves badly in public. Because those are just words. Those are words you can just say to people. And it just makes shame evaporate. Right? You're like, oh, wow. They start treating you like a good person all of a sudden. But I don't think there's actually that many rescue dogs out there. I think there's a lot of people trying to cover up. They didn't train properly. People used to ask a lot about my dog being a rescue when he was younger. I mean, he's a very good-looking dog. He's a mini Bernedoodle. So he looks like an alive Muppet. So you know why I chose him. And when he was younger, he was even cuter. And people would stop me on the street when I walked him. They'd be like, oh my God, your dog's so cute. Is he a rescue? Then I'd be like, this designer poodle? I don't think you know how the world works. Let me ask you this. Have you ever found a Dyson at the thrift store? Because the only way you rescue a dog this fluffy is foreclosure. I don't know if anyone here is considering getting a dog. If you are, you can ask yourself these questions. Do you have many open wounds that go unlicked? Do you find putting on or taking off socks to be too uneventful? Have you ever heard your doorbell and thought, yeah, that could be more annoying? Then I recommend dogs. These slippers are too easy to find. Some dogs can be really difficult, though. You don't know what you're going to get. I have a friend whose dog is so difficult, he tells me his age backwards. I'll ask him, how old is your dog now? And then he's like, I think I have 7 years left. 6 if I cancel insurance, maybe. We got our dog as a puppy, which is a baby dog. I don't know if you know that. What happens when you get a puppy is you're really excited, everyone's excited for you, and then 2 weeks later, you have a nervous breakdown. Because every day your puppy gets stronger, and you get weaker, until it breaks you. Because you think you're getting a little baby dog, and that's not what it is. Sure, it has a baby dog body, shark teeth, Hannibal Lecter mind. They destroy so much stuff. There's so much property destruction. And you have two choices for how to deal with that. Either you can get angry and stressed out constantly, or you can embrace a Buddhist philosophy. I realized this because I came home, and for the second time in a row, my puppy had chewed through a brand new pair of Birkenstock sandals. And I was like, either he has now cost me $400 plus tax, or he's teaching me an important lesson about the pointlessness of material value. Namaste. I now understand that, like the sandals, I too am temporary. I love my dog a lot. He's like my best friend. He's like the kind of best friend with whom you have a bit of a complicated relationship. Because I feel like he owes me a lot of money. And he's always trying to make out with my wife in front of me. Like with the two of them, I just constantly feel like I'm the odd one out in a threesome. Like they'll be all over each other on the couch and I'm just there with a hand in. Like, me too, right? I am also part of this. I've never been party to a three-way before, but I think that's what happens. Like two people go at it hard, then one kind of gives energy. It's like, whoa, really hot, you guys. Does anyone need a snack? Because I have a free hand. Just putting it out there, free hand when you want it. I just get worried that my wife does love my dog more than me. Just based on the number of sweaters she has knitted for each of us. 4 for him, 0 for me. It's not looking good. She also kind of said that I do rank 3rd in our family of 3. Not those words, in a different way. Because I was going to take my dog on a hike in the woods. Because we have beautiful woods here in Vancouver. We can hike with your dog. And the only small risk is that there might be a giant killer animal. So my wife is concerned for our 30-pound anxious dog. And she stops me and she goes, hey, just so you know, if you run into a mountain lion, you have to protect him. And I was like, just so you know, I also cannot fight a mountain lion. I've deceived you with all the spider victories. She's like, protect him at all costs. I'm the cost! Just think about this financially. This is half the mortgage. You can't go to the bank with the sticks he brings back. I get all these videos now on my social media algorithm about dogs, and recently I got this one where they kept on saying, like, when you take your dog for a walk, you gotta let them smell everything for as long as they want, because this is their social media. And I don't think that's the correct comparison. Like, my dog doesn't walk around the neighborhood, smell a bunch of stuff, then come home really depressed and anxious. Right? Never taken for a nice sniff walk, and then he feels like all his friends are more successful than him. Never brought him home. He's like, we should overthrow the government. I think, let's get a truck and let's drive to Ottawa. I've learned a lot about myself from having a dog. I've learned that I'm definitely a cat person. For sure. And I'm very allergic to cats. But I didn't realize how much less work they are. They're so much less work. Like, having a dog is like having a toddler with a hammer. They love you, but they can do damage very quickly. Having a cat is like having a dad who travels a lot for work. Like, they're often not around. When they come back, they bring you weird gifts you don't want. And for all you know, they might have another family. So I didn't really have major pets growing up. I've always been into animals, though, and I've retained some of the animal facts I knew as a child. I don't know if this is an official animal fact, but I would wager, of all the land animals, the hardest to drown is the giraffe. Like, giraffes must feel no need to learn how to swim at all. They're like, how deep is it? I think I'll walk. I'm a horse mixed with a periscope on stilts. I'm not afraid of these oceans you speak of. Like, we don't talk about this enough as a society, the undrownability of giraffes. It's Sometimes if you see a really strong, muscly guy, people will say like, oh my God, that guy's so strong, he could probably wrestle a lion with his bare hands. Then I'm like, but could he drown a giraffe? I don't think so. You need machinery for that. Project management. I like how some animals have just fully become city animals now. Like you don't think of them in any other way. My friend is from Europe, not to brag. And he said that in zoos in Europe, they'll have our raccoon in their zoos. And I was like, what are those habitats like? I hope it's the side of a house with a bunch of garbage bins, right? You can't keep raccoons away from recycling. That's animal cruelty. They need it for their biology. If you're driving on the highway in the wilderness, you saw a raccoon at the side of the road, you'd pull over and be like, are you okay? Do you need a ride back to town? Like, look, you shouldn't be violent against any animal, but there are some animals that we've been way too soft on as a society. Like, I have not met a single goose that doesn't want to fight immediately. Like, why do they all think they can take us on? Like, every goose wants to throw down as soon as you look at them in the eyes. It's like, I'm an 160-pound human man. You're a bird that fits in the oven. How can you be so arrogant? You have no arms and a really long, vulnerable neck. I'm a human with hands and fingers that can go on Amazon and order a chainsaw. So we want to do this, Goose? I have a lot of useless knowledge in my head. And some of it I paid money for. Like, I paid money in university to take a class in Greek mythology, and it has not helped me at all in adult life. All it's done is made me really confused about the Honda Odyssey. Because that's been a very popular minivan now for like many decades. And if you know Greek mythology, you know that the Odyssey was a trip that did not go well. Kind of why it's famous. Like, the Odyssey is a myth about 600 warriors who were trying to make it home. Then after 10 years, only one of them survived. And Honda was like, that's what we want to use to name our van for transporting children. The trip with a 99.8% fatality rate. That's the one for us. Like, it would be more reassuring if they called it the Honda Hindenburg / Titanic. Designed by Boeing. That would be a more reassuring. If we're gonna have the Honda Odyssey, we should also have the Oedipus Center for Family Therapy. That's another business I want to start. The Oedipus Center, bringing families really close together. I was reading an article about how scientists are trying to find a way so we can drive cars with our thoughts. Yeah, we need to stop these scientists. Because the thoughts that you have when you drive, these are not good thoughts. Someone cuts you off, then you're like, I like to end their life. And now your car is like, okay. The car and brain should not be connected, right? The car is fast and metal, the brain petty and vindictive. That's not the worst idea we have with cars, though. The worst idea is flying cars. Like, ever since I've been alive, we've had this fantasy about the future where, we'll make cars fly and traffic will be better somehow. Can we stop this? This is a horrific idea. We've had regular land cars now for over 100 years. The verdict's in. We're not good at driving them. We crash into each other all the time. Like, round of applause if you trust other drivers. Just one person, anyone? That's with 4 directions, forwards, backwards, left, and right. Now add up and down to the mix. How do you feel about that? Today's world, you get rear-ended. Flying cars, top-bottomed. Before I did this professionally, I worked in an office for a very long time. And I like working in an office. I like the little chit-chat around the day. I had no problem with small talk. A lot of people complain about small talk at the office like it's the worst thing ever. And I don't understand this. Because what's the alternative? Big talk? At the office? Like, you walk into a full elevator? Hey everyone, can you believe this is our lives? Existence is finite, death could strike at any time. We live in a cruel and unusual reality, dictated by the random interactions of all kinds of things. No one knows why we exist, and we're probably never going to figure it out. And one day the sun will expand and destroy the earth. Happy Monday. We need small talk. There's less of a burden on your day. Like, what's worse? Your coworker comes by and goes, "Oh my God, can you believe it? Rain again." Or they stop by and say, "I'm not sure if my father ever loved me." And the rain always makes me think of that. I was never good at job interviews, probably still am not, because I have a problem being overly honest with people. Like one time in a job interview, they asked me, "Jacob, what's your greatest weakness in the workplace?" And then without pausing, I just said, "Hiding my disdain for stupid questions." I think we'd all agree that's a moronic question that never should be asked in a job interview ever again, right? Because we all know what the answer is. What's my greatest weakness at work? Let me think. Probably that I don't like working. Like all these things you want me to do, I will only ever do them for money. And even then, you should watch me. I will need supervision. Can you imagine answering a job interview with perfect and complete honesty? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Resenting you, probably. What's your career goal? Retirement. I am trying to end this. I only do this so that one day I never have to do this ever again. Not doing it is my motivation. This is a heist to me in very slow motion. I get in, I get the money every 2 weeks. When I have enough of it, I'm out of here. You'll never see me again. I'm fleeing the scene. You gotta watch out for certain phrases employers will use that are red flags. Like if they ever say, "Oh, we work hard, but we play hard," don't work there. Because the translation of that is, "Oh, we're gonna make you work really hard, then we're gonna force you to hang out with us." No, thank you. To me, the worst crime against the English language is when an employer will use the word passion in a job description. Like, we're really looking for someone who has passion in customer service. Because it's like, passion and work, these do not overlap. They are very different concepts. They don't mix. Passion is for romance. And I don't do romantic things with my work. I've never taken my work horse riding. I've never run to my work at midnight in the rain and been like, "I must be with you." I've never had an emotional breakdown because I found out another man was doing my work behind my back. I'm like, "Thank you, can I get you dinner for that? I owe you for this." There's other terms that are weird that people use in offices. When someone's really good at their job, we'll call that person a rock star. We're like, "Hey, have you met Mike from accounting? He's a real rock star around here." Right? And that's an analogy that makes zero sense. I don't know if you've ever met a rock star before. Not really known for the timely completion of deliverables. Like maybe if your coworker showed up at 2 p.m. hungover, threw up all over their desk, and then got pulled into a very serious meeting with HR, you'd be like, "Yeah, that guy's a rock star." No wonder he keeps on throwing TVs through windows. The people who are best at work are workaholics. And we could talk about them because none of them are here tonight. They're busy getting work done. I think being a workaholic, that's the best addiction to have, like financially. That's the one addiction that could lead to owning a boat. I think even if you're not a workaholic, it's a good idea to say that you are. If your boss is like, "Hey, I need you to get this done over the weekend," you'd be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, don't you know? I'm a recovering workaholic. I have a disease, and you are enabling me right now. I'm gonna need time off to deal with this trauma." I got really obsessed with workaholics, and I was like, "Do they have meetings like other addictions?" And I looked it up, and they do. They do, of course they do. Of course they're looking for any excuse to have yet another meeting. They're addicted to this stuff. They're all showing up with PowerPoints like, oh no, we're doing it again. I've been trying to work on my mental health a lot. And I would say that mental health is quite different than physical health. Like, they're related, but different. Because if someone asks you, how are you feeling? And you say, very healthy, the conversation moves on. But if you answer, very mentally healthy, there's going to be follow-up questions. Lots of murmuring, maybe a phone call. Last time we had a big corporate campaign for mental health awareness, I saw a poster that totally blew my mind. It said, did you know that 1 out of every 4 people suffers from high levels of anxiety? Which to me was incredible. I was like, are you saying that 3 out of every 4 people are just okay with what's going on? Like 75% of people read the news and are like, I have no concerns. Another relaxing day for me. We have all these corporate campaigns now for mental health awareness. All these posters and ads. And we just admit it's a waste of money. Like, we're paying all this money so that people know about mental illness, that it exists. And it's like, yeah, we know. Most of us have regular family dinners, so we're aware. Round of applause if you have at least one member of your family who's totally nuts. Right? See, yeah, exactly. And if you're not applauding, you are that person. But it's okay. I have a mental health problem. I was actually officially diagnosed by my wife. 11 months ago, she came to me and she said, Jacob, I think you have a serious problem fixating on things. And I've been thinking about it every single day since. I do have a problem. I do have a problem with anxiety. Like, I have above average anxiety, I think. Normal for Jews, but high for Gen Pop. I know that because I have dispatched emergency services before for an unnecessary reason. And if you're ever in that situation, like you ate a brownie, the walls are moving, you want to call 911, here's my advice. Always ask for the fire department. Because ambulances will charge you money, and the police are mean. But firefighters are often available, very down to hang out. I don't know if you've been around the city lately, but most things aren't always on fire. So they got gaps in their schedule. What happened is I was in my old apartment and the smoke alarm gas detector started going off like crazy. So I called the fire department and I was like, the alarm keeps going off. And the dispatcher was like, okay, one of 2 things is happening. Either you have a false alarm or this is a lethal gas leak. So this next question is very important. Does your home have any gas appliances? I looked around, I checked everything, I thought about it, and I was like, no, it's all electric. And then she was like, great. Do you want us to come over anyway? And I was like, does it cost me money? And she was like, no, it's totally free and we're already on our way. So I went out to go greet them. I went to the street. I was looking up and down, and I figured they'd show up in a pickup truck or a van. They'd be like, we'll get some ingredients for the chili, and then we'll go help this very neurotic man. And I see up the street a full ladder truck coming down, like with guys fully dressed, hanging off the side. That's how amazing the fire department is. They'll load up a 40-ton truck for what they know is a 9-volt battery change. And they changed that battery with a smile. They didn't even charge me for it. They gave me a free calendar. It was amazing. They put on a show. They walked in with their gas meters on, checked the entire home. Every nook and cranny. 0.0 on the meter the entire time. One of them held his gas detector next to my obviously electric oven and goes, all clear. If you have a mental health problem, there's stuff you can do, to help. I find tactile hobbies help a lot. It means doing things with your hands. Like, I've gotten really into adult Lego. Lego for adults. I'm not like building little strip clubs, red light districts. My wife's like, what are you working on? I'm like, oh, just a very special part of Amsterdam. She's like, the Anne Frank house? I'm like, not exactly. She actually taught me how to knit, which is great. Like, knitting makes you feel so good, it relieves stress. I used to think that only old people knit. But now I realize that people who knit grow old. Because it's so relaxing. Like, knitting is by far the healthiest addiction you can have with needles, right? For sure. Top of that list every year. But I don't know if you've ever been around knitters before, but they do behave like hard drug addicts. Right? They're always fiddling underneath the table, not making eye contact. They carry around a little bag you can never touch. I have other strategies for mental health. One philosophy is actually to go on social media less and read books more. Because comparing yourself to other people, that affects how you feel. And people mostly post to social media when they're feeling pretty good. But they only ever write books when they're very sad. So reading makes you feel better. You go on Instagram, you have fear of missing out. You're like, why am I not on a trip to Europe? You read a book and you're like, it's a good thing I wasn't around during World War II. Europe, not always a hot destination. Like, I go on social media, and I just feel like all my friends are having better lives than me. You know who's ever made me feel that way? Dostoevsky. Quite the opposite. Like, I don't know if you ever read Russian literature before, but if you're depressed at all, I highly recommend it. It kicks antidepressants up a notch. Like, at no point reading Russian literature will you ever be like, I wish this was happening to me. And I don't like to single out any group of people, but there is a group of people that is ruining all of our mental health. And these people are called influencers. And if you don't know what an influencer is, congratulations, you're probably old and happy. But they're people who build a big following on social media so they can then turn around and sell those people crap. We used to call these people hucksters and snake oil salesmen, but somehow, a few years ago, they rebranded as cool, hot influencers. Which sucks. It's not even a good rebrand if you think about it. The word influence has bad connotations. Your friend's a bad influence. You're arrested for driving under the influence. Influenza. But that's the gift millennials gave culture. The disease of influencers. We talk a lot in a society about different generations and how they're so different. I don't know if that's really true. I think most people are the same. Some things, though, are different, like the whole attitude towards home ownership, of course. Because baby boomers, they love that they bought these houses, and they still own these houses. And then Gen X was very into condos. Millennials, we're all about van life. So I think that Gen Z is about to get stoked about wheelbarrows. And next generation, jars. Sometimes I have communication problems with baby boomers. Like, my dad's a baby boomer. I was talking to his friends. I happened to mention I have a doctor fantasy. And they all thought, like, oh, that's like a kinky hookup thing. Like, you want to fool around with your wife dressed as a doctor. And I had to say, no, I want a doctor. My fantasy is getting a first opinion. I can relate more to baby boomers now because a couple years ago, my wife and I, we did become homeowners. And initially, we didn't say anything to anyone about that, really, because homes are very expensive here. So it's a little bit gauche to come out to your friends as the lord of the land. And you're like, kneel before me, you know? Look at our deed. But recently, I've started talking about it. You know, I've decided to be brave about this. Because frankly, the reason why I was able to afford a home is because I worked very, very hard for a very long time on my relationship with my parents. That's just how it's done, right? If you're privileged. People ask me for financial advice, and I'm like, call them once a week. Ask them how they are. It's pretty easy. And when you buy a home, you meet new kinds of people. Two in particular. The first are real estate agents. Because everything else in your life you can purchase without a chaperone. But for some reason, for a home, you need a well-dressed extrovert there with you at all times to tell you that this is a bedroom and this is a bathroom and this is a closet that could be an office. Because how could you tell? What? The front door is here? Real estate agents are pretty amazing people. I don't know if you know this, but 100% of all real estate agents are in the top 10% of all real estate agents. They're putting up incredible numbers. I think 90% of them are locked in a basement somewhere, and we gotta send the fire department. The other kind of people you meet are the trades, because no home was built well and everything breaks all the time. I met one tradesperson in particular I will remember for the rest of my life, because we had a very interesting conversation. Because we were having small talk, and then all of a sudden he asked me, "Hey, do you have a religion?" Which is quite a small talk to big talk transition, right? Like that's a real abrupt shift. And I had to say to him, I hesitated a bit, and I was like, look, I'm a bit sensitive to that question because I'm actually part of a minority religious group that some people really don't like. And so I told him I didn't want to say what it was, but I was like, I'll give you a hint. I am part of the religion that many consider to be the most Jewish. And he was like, great, I'm also part of a minority religion. I'm a Jehovah's Witness. And I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. I am meeting the smartest Jehovah's Witness ever. Because he has a trade. He makes it inside the house every single time. He's going back to his friends, be like, forget the knocking and pamphlets, learn how to fix stuff. You'll have hours in there. You can say you need a part and come back the next day. Guys, thank you so much for coming out. That's the show. You guys really made it fantastic. So huge thanks to